Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is the T podcast. We have a great episode for you today. I know it's not Friday. That's typically whenever I do these, but there's so many people that want to come on the podcast now that I feel like I have to open up my weeks a little bit more. And of course, Fridays is not always a good day for people. So today we have a great episode. We have Lacey Maynor, who is the community development manager at Advancial Credit Union, and then we have Tori Teer, who is a intake and intake and what else? Transport person at Acadiana Animal Aid. She wears a bunch of hats. So we're going to be talking about the new swipe initiative. What is God? It's swipe and support campaign. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about that in just a second. All right. So what we're gonna do first is get our introductions in order. So Tori, if you want to go ahead and go first, go ahead and just kind of tell people about yourself and what it is you do.
So I'm Tori Teer. I work at Acadiana Animal Aid. We're a nonprofit animal shelter. We pull from municipal shelters across the state, dogs and cats who are at risk for euthanasia. We take them in and we adopt them out locally. We also adopt out of state, and we have a transport program that sends dogs out basically across the country.
Awesome. And Lacey, go ahead and provide your spot.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lacey Maynor. I'm the Community Development Manager with Advancial. We are a credit union here in town. We've been serving Acadiana since 1985. I work really hard to kind of get our name out in the community and put partnerships together with employers and organizations, and have the really fun job of working on campaigns like this with some great partners in our area. And we have been voted for the best bank in Acadiana for the 5th year in a row, so I always like to share that as well. That's really exciting for us, too.
Good little plug there.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to go ahead and just jump right into the overarching reason why we're here. We have the Advancial Swipe and Support Campaign. So tell us a little bit about what that is. I know last year you guys did that. I can't remember what it was for again, what it was helping, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about it and what it is that it does.
Sure, yeah. So last year was the first year we held this campaign.
It was for Moncus Park, right?
Not Moncus Park. It was for downtown Lafayette.
Oh, gosh. It was
yeah,
close.
so we were looking for a really kind of fun and unique way to give back to the community. Acadiana has been really, really good to us since we've been in this market, and we were looking for something to really kind of dive into and give back some real big community support where our members could be involved and all of those sorts of things. So last year we partnered with Downtown Lafayette Unlimited to support and provide some donations to the inclusive playground that they're going to be building at Park Sans-Souci.
That's right.
Yeah, so it was a phenomenal project. The response we got for it was overwhelming in the best way possible. We ended up raising over $16,000 for the organization.
$16,000?
Yeah, by the time all was said and done. So the way it worked was for about 3 months, we donated a percentage of every single Advancial credit card transaction in the Acadiana area. And it just goes to show you that a little bit can add up to a whole lot over time. So when we looked back and started talking about, do we want to do it again? Was it well received? Did our members get behind it? And I mean, it was a resounding yes to all of those questions. So this year we kicked off September 1st, and we're partnering with Acadiana Animal Aid. It has been fantastic. The response we've gotten is amazing. They're an amazing group to work with. The work that they do is really important, and it's been I know they've had a difficult year just in terms with the influx that they've seen at the shelter due to a whole lot of factors. So it made sense for us to kind of dive into this year. So that's where we're roughly halfway through the campaign right now. So we kicked off September 1st and it runs through November 30th.
Sweet. So are you able to speak on numbers yet? Or
Yes. So we monitor kind of weekly. So we kind of on a Monday we'll look back and reflect on where we closed out the week before. So our goal is $15,000. Like if we hit that, that's a great campaign. We're really happy. But as of last Friday, I don't have the down to the penny, but we closed out somewhere right in the neighborhood of about $8,500.
Wow.
And that's only 5 weeks into the campaign. So we still have way more than that to go, a lot to go. So we're tracking really well. Again, the feedback we've gotten on this has been phenomenal. So thank you to all of our members who have been supporting this.
That's awesome, man. I mean, that's more than halfway through.
It's more than halfway through.
Wow.
Yeah.
But obviously, not the goalpost is still a little ways away.
It's still a ways away. But we really wanted an easy way for people to get involved. The campaign is simple. We tally everything. You just use your Advancial credit card. It's that simple. Our branches are set up and ready to take in new applications. If Acadiana Animal Aid is a organization that you think is doing good work and you want an easy way to support, you get our card. It's a fantastic credit card. There's no interest on it for 12 months with very low rates after that. And you just use it for your everyday purchases. And the tally just keeps going up for what we're able to donate to Acadiana Animal Aid at the end of it.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Real quick. So you said low rates, huh? What is the ballpark on the rates?
So on our credit card, so like I said, you have that 0% interest for 12 months.
Yep.
That comes automatically with the card. After that, it's going to range anywhere from 8.9% to 14.9%, depending on individuals' credit scores and credit histories and all those sorts of things. But as a point of reference, most financial institutions start around the 16, 17, 18% mark.
Oh, yeah.
So our highest rate is still lower than most people's lowest rate, and it has a great rewards program, lots of benefits to the card, and none of the benefits go away throughout this campaign. It still offers all the amazing things that we offer on that credit card, with the addition of donating to a really great organization.
Okay. I'm gonna ask one more question.
What you got?
And you can tell me if I'm treading water that I shouldn't be treading.
Okay.
So, and the reason why I'm asking is because I have a credit card and I don't like the interest rate. It's horrible. I think it's in the 20s, and it's pain in the butt.
Sure.
So if, let's say, for example, someone like me who I have some Advancial loans, I have a vehicle and all that good stuff. I think we have 2 vehicle loans actually with you guys.
Well, thank you.
Or no,
Thank you
it's
for
one. Sorry, it's one vehicle loan, and then I have another just personal loan.
Okay.
If I was to apply for your credit card, am I able to transfer the balance from one card that I had that's ugly to your beautiful, nice card?
Yes. And there are no balance transfer fees.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
Okay.
So
Well,
yes, the answer to that's an easy one, and we get that question a lot. It's a great way to start kind of chipping away at some of your debt, because any balance transfers, any purchases on that card for 12 months, you're not going to pay any interest for 12 months.
Okay. All right.
So yes, you can absolutely do that.
Something to look
And
into.
It's also very easy to do within our online platform. So when and if you're ready to do that, you let me know and I can walk you through it.
All right. Look,
Yeah.
I got some homework. Anyway, this is not a financial podcast. This is a community podcast. So thank you, Lacey,
Sure.
for that little tidbit of information there. Tori, so tell me a little bit about your role with Acadiana Animal Aid. How long have you been there, and kind of what does your day-to-day look like?
So I've been there 8 years, almost 8 years.
Wow,
now.
good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Started out as a caretaker and just worked my way up. Right now, so I do oversee our transport program. So basically what that means is there are some areas in the country who have spayed and neutered their way out of overpopulation. And so they have shelters in other states who have empty kennels and high demand for dogs and cats, and we have lots of dogs and cats. So we're able to transport them, sometimes ground transports, and then we also partner with Greater Good Charities and do flights, and we actually send dogs and cats on planes out into these...
To the Bahamas?
We send primarily to New England area, so
Yeah.
New Jersey, New York, Delaware, that kind of thing.
Because are those larger shelters?
Some of them are, yeah, for sure. They're, I think they deal in more numbers than necessarily Acadiana Animal Aid does, but it just depends. It's different communities.
Okay.
And then I also do their intake. So I manage our surrender and stray requests. So people who have an animal that they need help with. And we're not always equipped to take everything in. We are a nonprofit, so we have to consider our finances and our capacity. But a lot of what I do is surrender prevention. So it's a lot of helping people find alternative solutions. Instead of having to enter into the shelter, what else can we do? What are other options to take so that we're not overcrowding the shelters and putting them at risk of euthanasia? Not necessarily with us, but with our local, communities.
So let's say you have to turn someone away, and I'm pretty sure it's not all the time that you have to do that.
Absolutely.
What are the other options for that?
So typically when people find like a stray animal, I think a lot of people's go-to is like, well, I'm just going to take it to the shelter. That's where it should go. And that is in some way the right answer. But have they tried looking for its owner? Have they tried going and knocking on the doors of their neighbors and asking other people if, hey, can you try to help me find its owner? Things like that. Because a lot of times dogs that go missing aren't very far from home. And then if it's their personal pet, what are the reasons for surrender? So is it a behavioral issue that we can help you work through training and problem solving in that way? Or is it financial? Do you need help with food? We have the pet food pantry here in Lafayette that can sometimes help people who are a little bit more in need of that kind of thing if they just need food for their pet. And kind of like that kind of thing. Now, some of the problems are harder to find solutions for. There are situations where the alternative is bring it to the shelter. That might be what they have to do, but we try to come up with other ideas before having to go to that.
Yeah. So this some people may not like to hear this, what I'm about to say, but you said something that was interesting. And when somebody finds a stray, usually their first instinct is to bring it to a shelter instead of trying to look for its owner and all that. Have you lived in this city, or like where are you originally from?
So I grew up in the Baton Rouge area.
Okay.
Not that different, but different. And I'm right now I live just in Lafayette. Actually,
Okay.
yeah.
Have you ever lived in the country?
No,
Okay.
but that is you're right. That's absolutely a very big challenge for people.
So what happens in the country? I'm pretty sure you're aware of it because you're in the animal caretaking scene here. When somebody finds a stray or a dog that comes up onto their back porch, and I know this from firsthand experience, I've seen it in my family. The first thing is put it in the truck, go find somewhere else, and drop it off at somebody else's door.
Yeah.
Growing up, I knew that wasn't the best way to do that because as a kid, I loved dogs. I loved cats. I mean, I didn't want them to go away, but my parents and my aunts and uncles are like, no, we don't need another cat around the house or blah, blah, blah. Yeah. They would haul it off. Essentially, that was the term, hauling it off. I'm like, man, so what's going to happen to it over there?
Right.
And usually it's the country, so some things that you would hope not to happen sometimes happen. And then a lot of times they get picked up and people take care of them. But just you never know.
Yeah.
So how are you guys trying to look into ways of like getting into the more rural areas, or do you have any type of communication that goes out to people in the rural communities and how they can help with their stray animal problems?
I'm trying to think, not necessarily within our own means. We're somewhat a little bit more limited, but we work with a lot of rural shelters. So we work with a lot of shelters up north and throughout the area that are a lot more spread out. And for those people, it's really trying to get, resources out to them, mobile units and things like that, and that they just don't have access to. And education in general. A lot of people in those kinds of areas, they don't really have access to anything. So it's really just trying to reach them through the municipal shelters that are out there. But yeah, it's definitely a problem for sure.
So another thing that growing up in the country, I grew up in the country. I guess this is where I'm going with this. I've never seen in person as a kid a dog catcher. Essentially, is I guess what you would call it, where a truck that looked like a little paddy wagon comes through and like grabs all the animals and takes them to, I guess, the pound or whatever they would call it.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. Do we have that here in Lafayette?
Yeah, so they're called ACOs. But yes, they have every government facility has their own vehicles and guys that go out and catch them. So if you have like a stray or something, you can call your local animal shelter and basically say, hey, this dog is out here, can you come catch it, kind of thing. Most of the time, if you can bring it to the facility, that's what you should do. But
Yeah.
they do have, if there's a dog that you just can't catch, they'll sometimes have to set out traps or things like that. But yeah, absolutely, we do have that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so kind of getting out of the gloomy part of the issue of having animals and being strays, and but the thing is, it's a reality. It's what it is, and like Janine, I had Janine Fouché on a few weeks back, and she said the country as a whole has an overpopulation problem, and in a joking manner, I told her, yeah, Bob Barker's been telling us this for years. I mean, well, every time he would end his show is like, get your pets spayed and neutered. I'm like, why does he keep saying that? Like, is he sponsored? Is he paid? And as a kid, I didn't know what that meant. And as an adult, I'm like, why does he keep saying that? And like, talking with Janine, it's a problem. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think we see it because it's so easy for, going back to the country, animals to roam around and just have a ball, essentially. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, under your house, you have a litter of cats or dogs, or in your shed, and you're like, what am I gonna do with all these new little animals? And a lot of people just keep a couple and then try to find friends and family that'll take them out their hands. But in a city, we're fortunate to have Acadiana Animal Aid, and then the shelters, especially the new shelter off of, I think it's Dugas?
Yes, so Dugas.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's a nice facility. Mm-hmm. And I know Janine touched on it, but the goal is, at least for the city's facilities, is to reach a zero kill or no kill status. Mm-hmm. And then Acadiana Animal Aid, that's like a 100% no kill situation, correct?
Yeah. So we're nonprofit, so we're not obligated to take in every single animal that comes to our doorstep. So we have the luxury of not having to euthanize, whereas government facilities, they have to take in those animals, and if their kennel spaces are full, they have to make room for the new ones. So that's when euthanasia decisions start happening, is when it's overcrowding. And so again, it's trying to find alternatives and also just trying to get resources out to people.
Okay. So we're gonna cut back on the gloomy side in just a second. So, but first, I have my sponsors. I'm pretty sure my sponsors love that segue. So today, as every podcast, we have our couple of sponsors, and the first one is the Music Academy of Acadiana. They're Acadiana's top choice for music lessons. So if you're looking to get into music, if you're good at music, or if you suck at it, or if you don't know if you suck at it yet, you can go to Music Academy of Acadiana and register there, or your children, whatever you want to do. You can be any age to learn music. They'll teach any age of any style. So if you want to learn drums, for example, or voice, you want to work on your voice, or if you want to play saxophone like my man Kenny G, which I love Kenny G. My wife thinks I'm crazy whenever I play that, especially for Christmas. I love Kenny G. Anyway, moving on past that. The Academy has been voted as a top finalist in several local and national awards. It's founded locally by Tim Benson, who is a UL Lafayette Music School graduate, and him and his band just kicked off a emo cover band. So if you're into late 90s, early 2000s screamo, emo music, a lot of us were at that one point. They're bringing it back. Let's just say that. Anyway, their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, and to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. And you can check them out at their website, musicacademyacadiana.com. It's on your screen too, and it's probably a caption that Facebook is showing you too. So musicacademyacadiana.com. You omit the of in the website link, and so you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram. And then we have The Orchard. So it's funny. The Orchard came in super handy about this time last year. We had Lacey on with the Downtown Development Authority, or it was the DDA, right?
DLU.
Right. So right. Close connection.
Lots of letters. But
yes. So we had Lacey in, and one of my iPad that I was using as my camera failed. It completely crapped out, and so I had to lower my head and ask Lacey if I could use her phone. And thankfully, she had an iPhone, and that's the ability that I have is to use iPhones with the software. And so the Orchard is Acadiana's only Apple authorized service provider. So what does that mean? Basically, if you have an Apple device, the Orchard is essentially your Apple store when it comes to repairs and warranty fixes and even new products if you want. So they actually donated a brand new iPad. At the time, it was brand new, and now there's like several versions later. But it still works. It's still doing great for us. So we appreciate those guys. They fix anything the Apple way. They follow all the checklists. So if you have a broken screen and if you want the screen to work right when it's fixed, they'll make sure to work that out for you. And if you use somebody else, you may or may not have some keyboard letters sticking. Just depends on if they use genuine parts. The Orchard uses genuine parts because they are Apple authorized. And so you can check them out. They have 2 locations in Lafayette, one by Buffalo Wild Wings in Lafayette, and then the other locations in Carencro by Super One Foods. And they just opened up a location in New Orleans. So if you just happen to be listening from the New Orleans area, there's an Orchard near you. And their website is theorchardstores.com. And we appreciate our sponsors. All right. Now we got our bills out of the way, as they say on the radio. So I want to know, do you guys have animals? I'm assuming you do because you're with the Acadiana Animal Aid. But Lacey, do you have an animal?
I have 2 animals.
Okay.
Have always had animals. Major dog lover here. So I mean, I'd be lying if I say that this project doesn't like hit home for me. Really, it's been amazing to see the work that they do. And we've adopted several times. One of our dogs right now we adopted from the shelter here. So yes, we have pets, more children, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Yes,
fur babies.
Fur babies. Yes, have always had fur babies. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then tell us about your animals.
Oh gosh.
You have a lot?
Well, yeah, I have 4 dogs and 2 cats.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So I mean, if that's a lot.
You are.
That's
you
a
have
lot. I have 2, and it feels like a lot. That's a whole
You
lot.
have the Acadiana Animal Aid at your house.
Yeah. When I started,
Do you just take the overflow? Do they just end up with you?
Well, honestly, yes. I take the ones that have stayed a long
Sure.
time and didn't have a lot of other options. So I have a lot of I call them the problem babies. They all have their little quirks and reasons for why they ended up with me. But yeah, when I started out, I only had 1 dog, and then
Hey,
I have a bunch.
kudos to you, man.
Yeah.
It takes special people to be able to take care of that many animals.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are some of your favorite things about the company, the nonprofit Acadiana Animal Aid, that you would like to share with people?
So I really love just the human animal bond. I think that's what's at the root of it all. A lot of people are motivated to get involved with AA, because they love pets. And I want to say, this is a people-oriented place, actually. Animal welfare is about people and pets. And so, really appreciate everything that Advancial's doing, and any corporations that want to get involved and partner with us to help us spread awareness within the community, because that's really what drives everything. So I'm just really passionate about connecting the dots with that.
Yeah. Lacey, what is one of your favorite things about the Acadiana Animal Aid, since you guys are having this campaign, and obviously that it's close to home with you having animals yourself? So is there something unique that you would like people to know about the Acadiana Animal Aid?
Yeah, I really think it's all the resources that they provide. When we started learning about the organization and talking through them, just what their process looks like, what their funding looks like, they spend about $500 per animal throughout the lifetime of a pet's life cycle at their shelter, right? So they get spayed and neutered, they get all their vaccinations, and I think what's really impressive is that they make sure the animal goes to a home that's going to fit for it, right? There's meet and greets, if there's going to be other animals in the family, to make sure that animal is going to a home that's going to be a good fit for it, and vice versa. And I think that's so important because it minimizes the returns, right? People who they think they want a dog, so they grab a cute one, and for whatever reason, doesn't work out, and a month or two later they end up back in the shelter. Like that's heartbreaking, and it's horrible for the animal. Actually, one of the dogs that we adopted, she got returned to the shelter twice. So I told my husband when we got her, I said, no matter what happens, like she's not going back. Like if we're in it, we're in it. We're not taking her back a third time. So they put a lot of thought behind making sure it's good matches, and I think that's probably a big part of their success. That when an animal goes to a home, chances are it's staying in that home.
You know what? I can attest to that process. So, having Janine Fouché, who is the executive director of Acadiana Animal Aid, on the podcast a few weeks ago, we were talking, and I was genuinely curious about the nonprofit and the process of everything. And we were actually, I don't want to say, I struggle to use the word in the market because it sounds like I'm about to buy an animal, which no offense to anybody who just goes and buys expensive animals. They do you, but we were looking for a cat. My wife and I were like, okay, we have a little dog, but we would like to get a cat. And we were just kind of tossing around the idea. And one of the things that I knew that I wanted was a cat that could not jump on the countertop. And so I told my wife, I said, I think there's only one style of cat that I know that cannot jump on a countertop, and that is a munchkin cat. And I was telling Janine that kind of thought process, and Janine was like, yeah, we don't have any munchkin cats. I mean, we do have a cat that has like shorter legs on one side than the other, but like I don't think that's a munchkin. And so I was like, that's interesting, but I was like, I don't think anybody would bring a munchkin to a shelter because people pay a lot of money for those cats because of the short legs that they have. That's why they're called munchkin cats. And it just so happens that after the podcast, literally the next week, I think it was the weekend of after the podcast, I get a text from Janine. She goes, you'll never guess what just came into the facility.
You put it out in the universe.
It's very strange how that works. She goes, we just got a munchkin cat in. I said, Janine, are you serious? Like, you're lying. She goes, no, like, and so I said, do you have a picture? And I think she might have sent a picture, but I wanted to experience what Acadiana Animal Aid does. So my wife and I, we talked about it, and we decided to go ahead and try. We wanted to try fostering first, but we realized that fostering, there's a chance that if you like that animal, that pet, that if you foster it, there may be a chance that somebody else will adopt it based off of photos and just, information. And whenever you bring that animal back to the center, that those people will have that chance to adopt it and keep it. And so I was like, okay, so how do we avoid that? Because we want to try her out, because we don't know if we're cat people yet. I like cats. My wife likes cats, but we haven't had a cat in a long time. And so we went through the process, and they told us what we have to do is act as if we're adopting. We have to pay the adoption fees. And I think for this cat, it was 1 year old. So it's like $85. So we prepaid it. And I even donated money on top of that. And so we took the cat home for 2 weeks. That was a 2-week period. And that was just, and they say fostering too, you want to at least keep the cat for, I think, a minimum of a week or 2 weeks so that it can acclimate and decompress, because cats have a different temperament than dogs. And so we did that. We did a 2-week run with the intent to adopt, and fell in love. The cat cannot jump on the countertop. And it is just, the things that it does is different than traditional normal length able-bodied cats. I don't know how to call it that, because the cat's not disabled, but it's just shorter. So it'll actually sit on its little butt and like take his hands and do this number, like wanting pets. And I'll be sitting on the couch or somewhere where I'm sitting, and if I'm trying to work, let's say on my computer in my office, I'm trying my best to get work done, and she comes in there, sits right by my chair, and does a little meow and does the little hand thing, and I'm like, I can't resist.
Like, how do you say no to that?
I know.
So it's just I just thought that was an interesting thing that happened, and however that worked out, like you said, I spoke it into existence, spoke it into the universe. It worked out. We have a beautiful little cat who is super calm, not aggressive at all. Like, but she loves to chase like her little toys. But I almost can roughhouse with her. Like I can pet her, like kind of rough, and just kind of play with her. Like even as a kid, I knew that bellies on a cat were sensitive, and if you touch the belly of a cat, like they'll usually like claw at you or like try to bite.
They're not like dogs. They're not big fans of belly
Right,
rubs.
right. But the funny part about, and I didn't tell her tell y'all her name. So her name is Susie. Out of the center, she was named Pastel, but we got permission and cleared it, make sure we can rename her. But we renamed her Susie, and so when she comes and she wants me to pet her, the craziest thing happens. I feel like she has a dog personality. I'll start to pet her, and the second my hand touches her head, she lays down on her back and exposes her belly.
Wow.
Bizarre. I'm like,
there are some cats out there. We call them dog. They're like dogs. They have dog personalities, and yeah, it's incredible to see all the different types of personalities and even the different types of breeds. I mean, I can think so many instances where I've had people say, "Hey, I'm looking for this kind of dog. Or I'm looking for this kind of cat," and like your experience, they come. We see all breeds, all types of animals, all different kinds of personalities. So I think there's a misconception where people think, well, if I want this specific type of animal, I need to go to a breeder. I need to go somewhere. The shelter, they have them. They're at the shelter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so weird. I like I said, I grew up around cats as a little boy, and this cat's different. It's I don't know, but you know what? Not every cat's the same, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, so kind of going back to the swipe and support campaign. So with, let's say, obviously this, I have all faith that this is going to be reaching its goal. What will the money be used for at the Acadiana Animal Aid? Is it just general, normal operating costs, or like what does that look like?
Yeah, so it's our daily operations. I mean, so we're a nonprofit, so we rely on grants and fundraisers like this to sustain our day to day. So whether that's the basic care of the animal at the shelter or medical cases, we always often take in a lot of medical cases. We have a couple right now that are needing surgery and things like that, and that's very costly. It also supports our foster programs. We supply everything our foster program needs. We give them crates, foods, medical care, and our transport programs even. So all of that is included in that kind of thing.
That's awesome. You said in the foster program, all the stuff is included, like the vets and all that good stuff. So that's one thing Janine did say is that when you foster, you take in a cat, and the only thing you have to provide is the love, or a dog example is to provide the love. Acadiana Animal Aid provides everything else. So like if you have a cat and you need a litter box, they'll do that. What's really cool is, and the AAA, I think as Janine called it, and then not the automotive place either, where they help you fix a flat tire. AAA, Acadiana Animal Aid. I had to learn that one. What she said is, oh God, I'm losing my train of thought. But essentially, what happened is, we got there. We were getting our cat, and since we were doing kind of the trial period, almost like we wanted to foster then adopt, the facility was super generous with what they do. So we asked, like, do you guys have like food or a litter box that you can give us right away, because we didn't get any yet. We got a little scratching post, but we wasn't sure what else to get, what you guys would provide. And so anyway, I think they went, they didn't have to do this, like I was saying, but they gave us a litter box. It was a used one, but they gave us a litter box, and they gave us a bag of those wood pine pellets or whatever they call it, which is, I love that stuff. The clay stuff, that's for the birds, not literally, but I mean, it works out really well, and it smells like wood instead of dirty clay. And then they even gave us a little bowl for water and food and like toys. I said I wasn't expecting all of this.
Yeah.
And so that just goes to show you that they help in more ways than just providing shelter for animals. Like if you take an animal in, like even if you're adopting, like if you need something that you're not able to get, like they're more than happy to help out where they can. And I think that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, we see they really try and set those matches up for success, right?
Yes.
So even with their foster program, what I didn't know is their foster program doesn't necessarily mean you decide to take in an animal for however long until it gets adopted. It can be weekend stays. It can be a trip to the park, and then you bring them back just to get the animals out of the shelter. Life is stressful, right?
Yeah.
So even if it's just for the animal to have a breather, you don't necessarily have to commit to having an animal for an extended amount of time. You can do an overnight trip or a weekend, or just take them for a walk in the park. We have Munkus Park now. It has a dog park, like just so it can go be a dog for a little while and take some of the stress off of being in the shelter.
And it's incredible what a difference it really does make. They go out, and not only do we see them come back a little bit more relieved, of course they're coming back into the shelter. Sometimes the stress raises again, but we even learn a lot about them. And that's huge, because how they behave in the shelter is not necessarily how they're going to behave in a home. A lot of people, when they want to adopt an animal, they want to know, is this dog house trained? Well, I have no idea. It's in a kennel, you know. But our fosters can tell us, like, hey, look, he's had one accident maybe or something like that, and so he just needs a minute, and they'll, you know, we get to that kind of information. That's really helpful.
Yeah. I think it's a great company, a great nonprofit. And I love that Advancial is doing their swipe and support for the Acadiana Animal Aid, because now that we have an experience with it, I see the benefit, and I see the reason why you'd want to have donations and money going towards it, because, like, you know, nobody wants to see an animal be euthanized just because there wasn't space for it.
Yeah.
And so with the transport program and all that good stuff, I mean, flying pets around like that's wild. Okay.
It's a really incredible experience. I still, to this day, whenever we're there and doing it, it's such a, I don't know, such a warm and great feeling.
Yeah.
But and it's also incredible. A lot of the animals that we send out on transports are animals that have been with us a while, so they for whatever reason haven't gotten adopted. We actually had one recently. She was in our care almost 90 days, and she flew out to New Jersey, and she was adopted within like a week.
Wow.
And we already got an update on her, and she's doing wonderful, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and going back to what Lacey's point was, they really do a great job of pairing the cats or dogs to people. Is when we were trying to get, and at the time her name was Pastel, our cat. They were asking a ton of questions, to the point to where I almost was feeling interrogated, like as if, like I was being grilled. Like they were asking me, do you plan on declawing her? I'm like, and even the application process asked all that, and I'm like, I don't want to, but like, you know, if she starts ripping our furniture to shreds, I'm like, what if? She goes, well, just gonna let you know, we have a strict no declawing policy. Like if you're gonna adopt an animal, we do not advise declawing, because it's essentially cutting their fingers off. And I was like, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cut anybody's fingers off.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they really make sure that you have the right intent. You have the right. They didn't come to our home or anything. They didn't check out our house or anything. But like they were asking so many questions that I felt like they were inside of our business. I'm like, look, I everything I have right here is exposed. I'm not gonna resell the animal and all that good stuff. And then she was like, we know if ever you want to return her, like get rid of her, but like part ways with her, we want you to bring them back to the shelter. And I'm like, okay. So everything was in there. I was like, man, this is like a real life like matchmaking situation where like if you're not a match, like they're gonna say, okay, well maybe you're not fit for this, maybe that. And then of course you can do the visit. So before we committed to Pastel, we were able to go to the cat cottage. And I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, there were so many cats, and some of them you could see their personalities real quick come out. And then others, like Pastel, was in her own little box. and she was just chilling. I said, you know what? She seems like she has our vibe already. She's just chilling while all the other cats are running around being wild. This one's not. This one's just like, look, I'm just here. And so they allowed us to go inside of her kennel and sit with her. And immediately, she just wanted to be petted. And I'm like, this is the most tame cat I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is wild. I said, I can't say no. Like, this is the one.
Yeah, we have a great volunteer program even. So a lot of our animals are super well socialized. They interact with our caretakers daily, but they also interact with volunteers on a regular basis too. So we're really lucky for that. And yeah, we end up having lots of social cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about when we started having conversations about what this partnership could look like and really how else we could support the organization outside of just the monetary donations. So we've held some adoption events in conjunction with this. So we held our first one back in September. And, when we had those conversations, Acadiana Animal Aid was very upfront with us about, okay, but we want you to have realistic expectations about what that looks like, right? A lot of times we hold these events and pets won't necessarily leave that day because people have to go through an application process with us first. We vet whoever's going to be taking some of these animals home. So we had our first adoption day in mid-September. 4 out of the 5 dogs that they brought were adopted in less than an hour.
Wow.
But because we coordinated efforts and as we were promoting this, that you have to go fill out that application. No one is going to be allowed to leave with an animal unless you've already been approved by the organization. So they do a tremendous job of, again, making sure that the animals are going to people who have been approved through their process. So we're actually holding our second one Saturday at our Johnson Street location. This time we're going to have 10 dogs in attendance because it went so well the last time. But we're really excited about that and to be prepping for that. So we want people to know, if you're looking for, I think it's all dogs that are coming.
Yes.
We had a blast last time. I got to witness something really amazing. It was a mom who got reunited with her puppies. Like they were all in foster care, but the puppies were separated from the mom and they got to see each other again at this event. And my heart just melted. It was amazing. Like they knew before they even saw each other that it was just unbelievable. But that's something else. We really, the overpopulation problem is so big right now, and unfortunately, like we all know, the cost of everything has gone up.
Yeah.
Right. Inflation is very much a real thing right now, and one of the things that they shared with us when we were talking about this in the beginning was that a lot of what they're taking in and dogs that are any animals that are ending up in the shelters aren't going because they were unwanted or because they were strays. They were going because their owners just simply couldn't afford them anymore. So again, to let people know, if you're thinking about getting a pet, look into adoption. There's so much need for it right now. And we will have 10 dogs at our Johnston Street locations Saturday at 10:30 in the morning. So if you're interested, you can kind of go on there online on Acadiana Animal Aid's website and see who's available and go through the adoption application so that if you want to take someone home on Saturday, you have time to get approved to do that as well. So
Awesome. Well, so before we wrap up here, we're at about 43 minutes. I want to show everybody the websites that they can go to. So the first one is the advancial.org/swipe website. And so what that'll do is that'll bring you to the swipe and support page. You can read all about it, and it talks about Acadiana Animal Aid and their partnership with Advancial as far as the swipe and support campaign goes. And then you can read more about it. And it shows kind of the process of how it works and all that stuff. As long as you're it's a Visa card.
it is. It's our Visa Rewards Plus card.
Yep.
Yes.
And then they got a couple of pictures of some animals there. And so, and then they have tons of other information. They have the adoption application on their site there. So really cool. And so read all about it there. And then also we have the AcadianaAnimalAid.org website. When you go to that, you immediately see a sliding banner with several different images, some events that are coming up, like Bark in the Park, and then they talk about their renovations that they just had with phase 1, and I think phase 2 is starting soon.
Yeah, just started actually.
Oh, it just started.
Yeah,
Wow.
it just started. They started our dog kennels this week.
Nice. So, yeah, they just did the renovations included the phase 1 included a catio
Yeah.
with the whole thing, and so of course some landscaping, then some facade changes. They have updated the logo so it's nice and brighter and easier to see, and they have some nice wood accents. So really cool. So you can go to their website. Again, I'll show it to you, and then you can scan through their images and their information. You can read about adopting and volunteering. Fostering, and you can see all their events and then read more about it. And if you don't have the capacity to adopt or foster for whatever reason, maybe you're just not able to physically, they have the way to donate. So if you have the means to donate, I'm pretty sure they would be more than happy to accept donations to help continue their efforts here in helping animals. But yeah, so check out the Acadiana Animal Aid.org website, and then also the advancial.org/swipe domain, and read all about the initiative there. Other than that, do we have anything that we didn't talk about that you guys want to mention before we head out?
No, but I will just say, like y'all have talked about, but going on our website and filling out that application, and then coming out Saturday and meeting all our dogs.
So Saturday at the Advancial location on Johnston Street.
6154 Johnston Street at 10:30. We'll be
right.
there from 10:30 to 12:30.
And you guys have 2 locations, right? One
we
on
do.
College Saloon.
One on College Saloon and one on Johnston Street.
Okay.
Yep.
And is the main branch on Johnston, or is there a main branch?
We don't really have a main branch here. Okay. We just tried to pick good locations where there's easy access for everyone we serve. So
awesome. Well, Lacey, thank you for coming on with Advancial, and then Tori with Acadiana Animal Aid. Thank you for coming on to talk about this. I loved having you guys on to talk about my experiences, of course, with Acadiana Animal Aid, and also me having several Advancial accounts and possibly another one. You never know. But yeah, thank y'all for coming, and hopefully that you guys that are listening and watching, maybe you feel inspired to get involved, whether that is becoming an Advancial customer with the Visa Rewards Plus and to help donate that way, or if you want to donate directly to Acadiana Animal Aid, you can do that, or if you want to adopt or foster. Hopefully this audio has inspired you to do that. So anyway, have a great weekend, ladies. I know it's not technically the weekend yet, but it's like one day away.
Yeah.
Close enough. Thursday is like the warm up to the weekend, and to me, Friday in Lafayette is already the weekend. At 12 o'clock, people are checked out.
Yep.
All right. Well, y'all have a great weekend, and we'll catch up. I'm pretty sure next year we'll probably do this again.
I
right?
sure hope so. I hope to be back. Well, thank you so much for having us,
Thank
Ben. We
you.
appreciate it.
All right. Thank y'all. All right. Everybody have a great one, and we'll see you on the next.